This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to episode 22 of the Animaniacast.
This is absurd! You little goons have been bothering me ever since I sat down. Do you know who I am?
No? Do you know who I am?
No.
Then we're even.
All we know is that we like you. We have no taste, but we like you.
And therefore, on behalf of the Warner Brothers
and the Warner sister,
I want to make you our special friend.
Welcome to the Animaniacast. We are a podcast that's dedicated to the animated television series, the Animaniacs. Each and every week, we revisit a different episode of the series, discussing all the cultural references and the gags, and we share our memories of what we thought about the episode when we first saw it, and what we think about it right now. In the end, we give each and every episode a Water Tower rating. And I am Joey. And joining me, as always, is my brother Nathan.
Snitches get braces.
And the woman who just met Sean Patrick Flannery recently, it's Kelly.
For the fourth time.
Oh, for the fourth time. Did he remember you, by the way?
No.
Oh,
sadly. It might be better that he doesn't remember me, because he probably would realize that I show up a lot at conventions that he's at. So I don't want to get a reputation.
And which con was this at?
This was at Walker Stalker in Atlanta.
Yes, but you were not a stalker, right? Uh-oh.
I guess that's subjective.
In case nobody knows, Sean Patrick Flannery is actually the voice. I was going to say the voice because we're doing a cartoon show, but this is the actor who played and voice of young Indiana Jones from the television series. Isn't that cool?
The older young Indy, the cute one.
Yes, exactly. Well, I looked at the picture of you with him, and I actually thought, like, wow, he could really do Indiana Jones right now. Like if they did like Indy before Temple of Doom, like I was like, just put him in there. Like that's what we need to reboot the Indiana Jones franchise. Just put him in there.
I might be okay with that.
Well, today
no one else, but
no one else. I would be okay with that. It'd be awesome. Well, today we're discussing episode 22 of the Animaniacs, and episode 22 had two segments in it. It had Guardin the Garden and Plane Pals. And Nathan, when was this episode first premiered?
Rumor has it was premiered on October 13th of 1993. It was a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. What a Wednesday that was.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get right into this. Before we do, though, I think I'm going to do something that we usually do at the end of the show. Ooh.
Oh, Water Tower.
Nope, not the Water Tower.
Oh.
That is, I'm going to just tell everybody, we have a contest going on right now, and this contest is basically for a bunch of different Animaniacs decals. In order to get these decals, all you have to do is simply go onto iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. It's relatively easy to do, right, Nathan?
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, so have I. And all you have to do is just go onto iTunes, you leave us a 5-star review, and you will be in the running. Of course, the decals include Yakko, Wacko, Dot, Pinky in the Brain. Let's see, a Put a Brain in the Whitehouse decal.
Ooh.
Let's see, a bunch of cool stuff. So you can go ahead and check it out and leave us a 5-star review. And if you already have, guess what? You're already in the running. So next week we'll pull our winners. Did I say winners?
Yeah,
that's right.
There's a typo?
No, we're going to pull 2 people this time.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm just feeling so generous. First place will get all the decals, and then the second place will get
nothing.
Get nothing. So congrats. No, they'll get at least 1 or 2. We'll get a consolation prize.
All
Make
right.
sure that people get it. So anyway, so there we go. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right over to segment 1. Now, I gotta be honest, before we get to segment number 1, we do have one thing that Nathan loves to talk about, which is Newsreel of the Stars. What do you think, Nathan?
That's all I want to say about it. Just
Oh, boy! I hope it's another cartoon! Jeepers, another stupid newsreel. I hate the news.
We did just have a poll.
we had a poll on it, and it won. Although 60% of people did not have it as their favorite. So
That's true. That's a different way to look at it.
yeah, so 60% of the people agree with me.
If you combine the other choices together,
Yeah.
I don't think that's how elections work, though, Nathan. Okay.
So newsreel didn't win from a certain point of view.
Exactly.
From a certain point
The
of view.
majority of the people did not like Newsreel of the Stars.
Sure. Well, I could see why. I guess that would win just because it gives out away, plot details. The animation's good and all that.
I think people just know it too.
Yes.
It's comfortable and familiar,
Yeah.
like a snuggly bathrobe at the end of the long day.
Yes. Very good. But it doesn't really work, especially for our enjoyment these days, I guess, because like we said before, if you're binge watching or things like that, you're just seeing the same segment over and over again. And you're kind of like, I've already seen this, and you end up skipping it all right there. So, but after Newsreel of the Stars, we got to Guardin the Garden, and, which is a play on words. Get it? Garden, like guarding. The
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Garden? No, wait. Guardin the Garden was a story by Earl Kress and Tom Ruger. It was written by Nicholas Hollander and Sherry Stoner, and it was directed by Michael Gerard and Chris Brandt. And Nathan, what basically happens here in this Slappy the Squirrel cartoon?
Well, it's the dawn of man, basically. It's Adam and Eve are told not to eat an apple from a tree, and there's a snake that's going to try to tempt them to eat it, but Slappy comes in and teaches that snake a thing or two, and that snake gets hurt, and no one eats the apple except for Slappy.
Yeah, so there you go. And yet she still doesn't wear any pants.
Yeah, I would think like she would like realize, oh, I'm naked.
Well, she wears a hat. That's all the cartoon characters really need, I suppose,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
But she must have already eaten the apple because she was
That's
wearing
true.
the hat the whole time. So, and she seemed old for being. You would think she would be younger.
Well, this is definitely I imagined it like this is just a retelling of the story.
Okay.
Because Slappy, because the Yakko, Wacko, and Dot run through the shot.
Yeah, they're there too, and Ralph. So to me, when you see that, to me, it just speaks to the fact that, okay, they're really on a movie set somewhere, and they're doing this Adam and Eve cartoon. And yet that's why Skippy's not there, because it's just like an actual cartoon of Slappy's.
Sure.
And because Skippy's just like her nephew. And he's not like starring in the cartoons with her.
Exactly.
So it's just like, there we go. That's what we figured it out. This is.
Well, we have sure. Well, we have a few quick references to go over that happen here. First of all, let's talk about the snake right now.
Yeah.
The snake.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Well, the snake is voiced, who voiced the snake here? I don't have that voice up here, but he is an imitation of the British comedian Terry Thomas, who played, among other things, Sir Hiss in Disney's Robin Hood.
Well, I was only trying to help. I wonder. Silly serpent. Silly serpent. Look here. One more hiss out of you. Hiss. And you are walking to Nottingham. Snakes don't walk, they slither. So there.
Now in the Garden of Eden, there lived a wily old serpent. Oh, he was a snake all right, pure and evil.
You make it sound like a bad thing.
And he was also in a movie that you could see him. He's in many films where he's live action. He kind of had this little mustache and a little. I'm dropping my microphone here. I'm pushing it towards
mic
him.
and out.
I'm dropping the mic. Boom. No, he would be in a bunch of live action films. He had a gap tooth and a little tiny mustache and stuff. He was in some Flying Machines movie. I forget what it is, but I remember seeing it as a kid.
Was it Planes?
No, I don't think so. It was so-and-so and his famous Flying Machines or something like that.
Okay.
The listeners can look that up. It's a mildly amusing film that I saw little bits of when I was a kid. That's why I don't really remember the title. But.
Well, Jeff Bennett did the voice of the snake for this.
There we go. Jeff Bennett. So he's right there, a reference to that voice. So it did sound familiar. I was listening to the snake and going, he just sounds like he's supposed to be somebody. The narrator, Kelly, did you recognize the narrator's voice when you were listening to this?
I recognized the voice, but I couldn't place who it was.
Yeah, at first I thought it might have been Larry King or something like that. I was going, who is this? Like I recognized it, I couldn't place it. It turns out it's the narrator from America's Funniest Home Videos, Ernie Anderson. I was going to say Henderson, but it's Ernie Anderson. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they say, so stay tuned for the Guardin of Eden's Funniest Home Videos. In fact, here, if I can, I'll just put a clip right here of him doing the announcement for America's Funniest Home Videos.
Coming up on America's Funniest Home Videos, a dog that helps around the house and might even do windows. And a girl who takes the cake but not the candles.
So stay tuned for the Garden of Eden's Funniest Home Videos.
This'll be a blast.
Because back in the 90s, America's Funniest Home Videos it got huge ratings.
Yeah, I think they're still making episodes of that.
They are, with, what's his name? Carlton from
Fresh Prince?
From Fresh Prince, yeah.
Alfonso Rivera?
Alfonso Rivera. There we go. So Alfonso Rivera hosts it right now. That's who does. And this was like, now we just watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, there's no real point to it.
America's Funniest Home Videos. This was pre-YouTube 90s fun, and everybody tuned in. I mean, you remember watching it every Sunday night. Our family would watch it all the time. So fits in very much. And let's see, other little quick references. Slappy references Fuzzy Zeller as she golfs the snake away.
Yeah, I assume he's a golfer.
Yeah, he's a golfer. Yeah, go figure. Makes sense. The snake, I did notice this. The snake, when he's bouncing towards the house at one point, is kind of doing a springy kind of bounce thing. And he bounced a lot like the snake in Cubert. He looked a lot like that. And he made a sound like Pepe Le Pew. And there's, of course, like things like Scrappy Doo is referenced to is Scooby-Doo's nephew. The snake references, Miss Scarlet and Colonel Mustard from the game Clue.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That was a fun scene, him getting hit with cannons a lot.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Let's see. And that's about pretty much it. I mean, there's other things like when the apple's rolling down the hill, the music starts playing. She'll be coming round the mountain. I didn't get to one of those references from a different cartoon because I think we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But
okay, I was like, there's one like major.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I think we can like Kelly.
Kelly, what was? I'm going to guess. What is your favorite part of this, or one of your favorite parts of this cartoon?
I like the Plucky Duck cameo.
Yes.
Look, Daddy, a snake. Sneaky, go down the hole.
I figured you would like that. I mean, it was definitely one of my favorite parts of this cartoon. Whenever you get to see Baby Plucky, it's great. Mm-hmm. So even though there was no Skippy Squirrel, we did get Nate Ruger voicing Baby Plucky. Yeah. So he got to voice somebody.
And maybe that's why they didn't want to have Skippy.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't want to have two similar voices in the same cartoon. That's a good point. I asked Nate Ruger on Twitter if this was the last time he voiced Baby Plucky. Mm-hmm. And he said it probably was. He couldn't think of another time he did. By the end of his run of doing Skippy Squirrel's voice on Animaniacs, they were actually digitally pitching up his voice because he was entering puberty. So we'll have to see if we notice any changes in Skippy Squirrel's voice in the upcoming episodes. But it was a cool little cartoon. I mean, we got the references out of the way, but Nathan, what are some of your favorite moments in this? What stands out?
So yeah, the whole cannon scene, him answering the phone like, "Who could possibly know I'm here?" kind of, and then getting shot in the mouth.
Hello. Hey, Mr. Snake, it's for you.
Oh, golly gosh, who knew I was at this address? Hello?
The cannon got huge, like the ball got huge in his mouth from the tiny cannon from the phone. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah, he looked like Yoshi for a split second too. Yeah. His head got big, and then the cannon like goes into his body and does this bang, 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 bang down to the tail, and then bang, bang,
all the way
bang,
back up.
That looked familiar to me. Like I'd seen that on a different cartoon, and for the life of me, I just couldn't find out where. But I'm pretty sure that's referencing some old cartoon gag, I'm assuming from an old Looney Tunes cartoon. If anybody out there knows, then please reach out to us, let us know, because that one was driving me crazy. It was like, I was searching like cannonball gag in snake body. I don't know, I couldn't find anything.
Was Slappy trying to kill Eve with that exploding apple?
No, because she knew that the snake was going to get it. It's all according to plan. It's all according to plan.
I was like, that was pretty close. Eva was about to take that fight, and
Slappy is totally, she knows what she's doing.
She's omniscient.
She has, God's help, just think of Slappy in this episode as like a guardian angel kind of person. She knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Kelly, what about you?
It wasn't my favorite. It had, the ones where it's mostly the visual gags and things are just blowing up all over the place. I feel like they get kind of repetitive, but I was kind of surprised to see Slappy in this particular storyline, and Guardin the Garden. I just thought that was kind of an unusual use of her character. Yeah. But I did like the point where there was the phone call and she told the snake it was for him, and and he's kind of reaching around with his tail and knocking on the back door and all that whole little scene right there. It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was a little more clever than some of the other ones that they came up with.
Yeah, they did. I like that whole thing of just like he's like, who was that? Oh, it's just the mail. Yeah, and then he's like, he's just going, who? What? That wasn't what it was supposed to be. Both of them kind of look at the camera a few times in this one. Like the snake does it to the camera, like, wait till you get low to this when I blow up Slappy. Or
this is going to be like taking candy from a baby.
This will be as easy as taking candy from a baby.
I don't think so, pal.
A very bitter, mean baby.
It was cute. I will say this, I don't think they would do this episode today, the way that they did it. Not necessarily because of the religious kind of aspect of it, which I think it's such a basic kind of, story when it comes to Adam and Eve, but more like, the way that Eve was. Eve was very curvaceous in this one.
Yeah, it was basically Hello Nurse.
It was, and just barely getting they
covered up. Yeah, they did kind of those Austin Power kind of cover ups or whatever.
Yes, yeah. There was a part where they're holding up a twig, and just so the leaves of that twig can cover up.
And she's holding a bird to cover up her.
Right. Yeah. I never thought of that. It was kind of like Austin Powers a little bit there. Yeah, they did it first. Austin Powers stole that too. So there we go. Well, so it was cute. I did like the animation was very, very nice. I mean, certain things like being shot out of the cannon, it was kind of cool to see, even though you didn't see the body getting shot out, you got to see the snake's head kind of stretch out. But anyway, it was a nice cartoon. I laughed.
It was fine. it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, overall, a very cool Slappy cartoon. So this we're going to put into a poll a little later today. So listen up for that poll question. I'll just tease it at that.
Teaser.
Okay. Ooh, teaser. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move right over to segment 2. Okay, segment 2 is Plain Pals. And Plain Pals was a story by Tom Ruegger and John McCann. It was written by John McCann, and it was directed by Rusty Mills and Kirk Tingblad, who has such a cool last name. I love that name. Tingblad. Anyway.
We'll have to have a poll of that. Best last names, yes. Coolest.
and Rusty Mill as well. Like, oh, that sounds like a very interesting place to go to. Not the cleanest place, but
yeah.
Anyway. So, Kelly, what happens in Plain Pals?
Well, in Plain Pals, the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister make a new special friend. So you kind of anticipate where that's going. But there's a businessman who usually flies first class, but he's forced to mingle with the commoners in coach. And he pitches a fit and basically is a jerk from the moment he approaches the ticket counter, and he demands this and demands that, and finally gets to his seat, and he's irritated, but he says, okay, now it's relaxation at last. And or maybe I'm jumping ahead, but he finally is excited to sit down in his seat. But the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister annoy him already, and they start. The in-flight video is telling them, safety procedures, and they're pumping up the vests and exploding and making noises, and he gets even more enraged. And basically the cartoon follows them around as they annoy him even more, and he sneaks into first class, and they keep showing up there, but it's kind of different characters and disguises, and really ruin his day. And I love where Wacko is dressed like a priest.
Yes.
So he's wearing this cool wide-brimmed hat.
Pardon me, Father, but could we change seats?
Certainly, my son.
So it was really cute.
Yeah. This episode was pretty manic. There was a lot of energy to this one.
Mm-hmm.
It just never. It was like nonstop from beginning to end.
It ends on a deserted island, right? And
and I didn't really understand at first what the heck was going on with, like, they go to the island and then there's those natives right there who he thinks are natives. And
I'm like, of course it's the anime. Like, of course it's the Warners. And
well, I think the connection there was at one point he says,
I'd rather be eaten by cannibals than be your special friend.
Then, so that took me to like the third viewing to go, oh, so that's why there's cannibals there on the island, assuming, right?
Yeah.
And doing the ooga chaka ooga, which I'm just thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy again. But yeah, it was a cute one. I really liked the energy of it. Let's just go over the references that we had real quick.
So many.
Yeah, there are quite a few. First of all, starting off, they show the airline taking off, and if you look, it's like literally you have to really pause it to see it. But there's flying the airplane, one of the airplanes taking off as they go into the airport is one of the gremlins from the Looney Tunes cartoon that has Bugs Bunny and a gremlin. I believe it's from like the 1940s.
1943.
Oh, yeah, it's called Falling Hair. And I used to see the episode quite a bit on TNT when I was a kid. It basically deals with Bugs Bunny trying to keep a plane from crashing. This bomber plane. It took place, this cartoon was released around World War II. And, this little gremlin was trying to make it crash. And so the gremlin is flying the airplane. And that same gremlin is actually found in a later in the episode when the Warners are flying the plane. That gremlin is sitting in first class, so they kind of switch places.
Just don't get him wet or let him eat after midnight.
Exactly. Another Spielberg produced
I
movie.
couldn't help it.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah, well, it's all connected. I mean, hey, if it weren't for the Bugs Bunny cartoon, there wouldn't be the movie Gremlins. So there you go.
Wow.
Sure, why not?
We'll say
You're
that.
just making things up now.
Well, then Ivan Blosky is the name of this accountant who gives us all of his I don't know, he's accountant to the stars or something.
Then account for yourself.
Oh, could he have been one of the missing accountants?
Oh, maybe. No, he got out just in time before he... I don't know. I would hate to see Ivan Blosky be converted into like one of the Freundleben guys. It would get a little too scary, I think, with him.
There was a guy. I'd have to go back and look at the episode, but I think there was a guy that kind of looked like him, though.
I think you're right. There was a guy who... I think he shows up later. I think it's the guy, and I'm totally forgetting his name, but he's the one that really annoys the Warners, voiced by Ben Stein, I want to say, who's like...
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that was the other accountant or something. We'll have to see again to confirm. As he's walking through to the plane the first time, one of the things I really liked about this episode was all the background characters they had. A lot of just interesting looking caricatures of people just everywhere. Like I was constantly pausing it just to see who the heck is in the background.
I did that too, and I never recognized anybody.
Yeah. Well, I did recognize one person from a previous cartoon. Remember in, oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the episode with Death. It was just a couple episodes ago.
Meatballs
or consequences. The Swedish man who says, I better go. I got to help the wife export some iron ore. Mm-hmm. He's in this episode 2 times. He's on the poster to New Richmond, Wisconsin, I believe.
Yeah, he has a cheese head.
And then he's also, I think he's in the plane someplace as well. I just recognize him. He has those weird glasses and a bushy mustache. And he's in the episode. So there you go. And then we get into the airplane. And this is where you could definitely see some Looney Tunes characters and some famous people and some people from previous episodes of Animaniacs. Mm-hmm. In the first shot, you see Siskel and Ebert are in there. You have a bull from one of the Chuck Jones Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah, I recognize the bull right away. It's the wrong color, but
missed Siskel and Ebert. I didn't see them.
Oh yeah, Siskel and Ebert, they're in there.
They're harder to see. Yeah, they're right next to the belly dancer.
Yeah, Ebert is of course eating a bunch of popcorn, and let's see, we have Abraham Lincoln and some Native American guy in there. We have a guy like some Sikh or Hindu guy reading a newspaper that says Cubs win, which is interesting because we're actually recording on Game 7 of the World Series tonight. So
that is interesting.
Yeah,
well, and the winner was, of course, and then just edit it in right here who won.
And then we have a dog from kind of like one of the minor Looney Tunes characters, Charlie the dog, I believe it's called. Charlie Dog. And of course we have Elvis and other stuff. I mean, there's just every single person. And then some of them even look like Kim Jong-il. Like as they went into first class, I'm just seeing like caricatures of people. And some I'm thinking, is that a caricature of a famous person or is it just
a writer, or something,
or a writer, or sometimes it's just I'm just going to draw a goofy looking person and put them in the background. A lot of attention to detail because honestly, they could have just made it little, dark figures.
Yeah, and they do that occasionally in the background just because there's so many people in the background.
But in this case, they really put a lot of people. Oh, we forgot one other person, the nun from the big candy store.
Oh yeah,
is in here as well.
Oh wow,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so just a ton of people in there. Yakko, when he sits down next to them and he goes, time for a nice relaxing flight. And then Wacko's going boingy, boingy, boingy. And Dot doing her little airplane thing. And Yakko's like a bombardier kind of thing going.
Like Snoopy.
Yeah, and he's saying Tora, 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 which is what the Japanese said as after they bombed Pearl Harbor. So he's saying, references right there. The whole trying to exit the airport, they had like little freeway signs very similar to LA. Mm-hmm. I liked how the airline pilots were all yelling at each other like they were in a traffic jam. Just a lot of cool stuff. The animation I really liked.
Yeah, like when he gets angry, he does close-ups on the accountant's face. Like I was like, this is like really good detail on his face.
There was only some little problems. Like if I was nitpicking like little issues here and there. The perspective sometimes got a little off.
Yeah,
like sometimes people were a little smaller than they should have been. Like when he says to them, "I'm not going to be your special friend," Yakko looks kind of smaller than he should have been. He's in the farthest seat. So they had little issues here and there, but overall,
I noticed that because there's supposed to be like 4 seats across. In several places, it looked like 3.
Yes,
I think most planes are 3 seats.
Well, what are some of your favorite parts of this, guys? Kelly, what was like some moments that really stood out to you that you liked?
I thought it was really cute when they made those little puppy dog eyes, and their kind of tears welled up, and he turned around and started to feel a little bit bad, and then they started making faces at him, and I thought that was really funny.
Like that puppy dog over there?
Yeah, they were doing complete puppy animations at one point too.
Yeah, they were wagging their tails
again,
and
like acting like dogs again,
and howling when they were sad and everything like that.
You've gone and hurt our feelings.
It was pretty. They were definitely showing once again that they are puppy children at times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I liked when Dot was pushing the cart down the aisle and saying, "Coffee, tea, monster," and he goes, "Monster." And she says, "Okay," and she opens up the box, and the big creepy monster, comes out.
She always has a different monster to pull out of that box, which is
like
always
that.
cool to see. Well, yeah, and Nathan, what about you?
I really like the safety announcements that were going on.
Thank you for choosing Air Pacific. You have well over a 40% chance of landing safely. Enjoy your flight.
I felt like the writer was probably like had a phobia of flying just based on
that's kind of what I got too. I loved how the Warners though were very excited over the aspect of them getting like put into a fiery ball and into the sea and everything like that.
Welcome to Air Pacific, the Jolly Airline. Our Deluxe 757 is equipped with a number of safety features to use in case of an emergency, such as our fuel tanks explode and we crash like a fiery ball into the sea.
Neato, cool, Fabu.
Yeah, I wrote down the different things that could happen to you on this airplane. So Air Pacific, which is the Jolly Airline, mm-hmm. I always like that. Number 1, the fuel tanks could explode. And you could go into a giant fiery ball that could land in the sea. Of course, they have the air flotation devices that could help you. Mm-hmm. Unless you land into the ocean and a giant squid could drag you to the bottom of the ocean as you scream, which I'm sure my wife appreciated that line. Because she hates giant squid. She has a severe phobia of that.
Luckily, you don't have to deal with too many giant squids in life.
Not too many, especially not in Arizona, but whatever. And then, of course, there's loss of cabin pressure that could happen. And in the case of that, there's the air, the bags, little air mask would drop down. But I liked how it showed the door could just suddenly at any moment just fly off.
Yeah, it was like,
and then the plane crushes like a little can, like a tin can in midair. So, and of course, when it's all said and done, you have well over a 40% chance of surviving.
Yeah.
Of landing safely. So yes, I agree, Nathan. I think, Mr. McCann, who wrote this episode, perhaps has a fear of flying. I'll have to reach out to him online to see if that's true.
Yeah.
Because I think it really came across in this one that flying is not fun. But yeah, it was just cute. I mean, there was cute things with Wacko. I mean, with the vomit bag, right?
Mm-hmm. Mine's empty.
Hey, mister, what's this?
A vomit bag.
Oh, pooh! I got gypped. There's none in here.
And
then the fart joke, whoopee cushion.
The fart, yeah, that's the whoopee cushion right there. Of course, after he's the father, and he asks him, "What's this tray right here for?" And he goes, "It's for eating."
Yeah, and I like how it looks like right at the audience and
chomps it with some mustard and 2 giant pieces of bread. Overall, the animation was, like we said before, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
There are moments that it actually reminded me a little bit of Ren and Stimpy, just in how it was drawn. Like the expressions on the Warners, their faces changed and were moving at such a frantic rate sometimes that it just kind of had an energy to it. Especially like when Dot is, like Ivan pulls out his big cell phone. Which just looks like a cordless phone. But this is, early 90s when only the very rich, of course, had cell phones. And apparently there was no rules about not using them on a flight.
Yeah.
So he just used it. But at that point, Dot is on her little phone. And her face, her animation just looks kind of like weird. Like, I'm making the whale, this person. And then when she says, and the Warner sister, her face just looks kind of weird there too. So I was just noticing interesting things when it came to drawing. So I think the animators did a nice job on this. They didn't necessarily stick to the quote unquote model of what the character should look like, but it still looked cool. I still liked it. There was a cool G-Forces gag.
What was that?
When they take off and they
all the
faces are just stretched back like they're trying to show how fast they're going.
Yeah, that was cute. I liked all the little. There was lots of little jokes in it. That was fun.
And it just kind of brought me back to how excited you can be when you're a kid getting on a plane for the very first time. I know that when I first got on a plane, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Did we mention? I don't think we mentioned that Pinky and the Brain were in this episode.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Pinky and the Brain were stealing a sheep for some reason.
Yeah, no reason at all. It was first we get the sheep, then take over the world. There we go.
We don't want to know what that sheep has to do. Maybe there's some other reason. What were you saying, Kelly?
Oh, I was just going to say, I never flew as a kid, and so I didn't get to experience the plane as a child, which may be why I'm terrified of flying now. I'll do it.
Yeah, this episode did not help, I'm sure, then with all the different things.
No, I would never want to, and that may be why I literally could not remember ever seeing this episode before. I possibly tuned it out and just forgot that I ever saw it, because I don't really ever want to see this before I fly.
This would not be a good cartoon to watch
on an airplane.
On an airplane. Definitely not good for the in-flight movie.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, with that, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get right over to our water tower rating.
Oh, I want to mention the stinger.
Oh, yes. Of course, the stinger was the first time.
Well, unless you count the HMS one.
That's true. The HMS was the first time, I guess it was
We are the very model of a
cartoon individual. Yeah. So this one was also tied to the episode itself.
But even more so. It almost finished up because they chase after
That's true.
Bosky, and then
at the very end they chase after him in the water, and then he's in the water tower with them. They somehow captured him and dragged him all the way back to Burbank. And with his special friend. So yes, that was cute. It was
this was a nice.
Yeah. So
okay,
what do we think now? Speaking of the water tower, let's get to the water tower rating. Nathan,
I'm going first.
You go first this time.
Okay.
How many water towers would you give this episode?
I'm going to give it 3 water towers.
Okay.
I would have given it more if I didn't have the newsreel of the stars at the beginning. And here's the show's namey. I'm not a fan of that either.
That's true.
So I had a bad start, and then Slappy's cartoon was, fine. Mostly all to Plain Pals. So.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
I'll be generous and I'll give it 3 as well. But it absolutely was not an episode that I ever remembered seeing either segment. And but I did like Plain Pals. It was cute. Like I said, I love the ones where they make special friends because they just always get up to all sorts of craziness. Guardin the Garden, again, it wasn't bad. It's really stuff we've already kind of seen before with Slappy. And so, I mean, it was overall okay, just not terribly memorable.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I didn't really remember this episode, but I'm going to give it 4 because, I don't know. I liked it. I thought the energy was good, and in really both of them, I guess I was kind of in the mood for slapsticky kind of stuff, and even though Plain Pals is not like one of the best Warner's ones, I just thought it was just so kind of, it had so much stuff going on. Yeah. Just little jokes in the background, just funny looking people everywhere. And I just like funny looking people, I guess. What can I say? Well, with that, let's go ahead and get to our poll results from last week.
Hello there, it's your announcer, back safely in the United States of America, with this week's Animanicast Twitter poll. Listeners were asked, which of these tower endings do you like the most? Hashtag Animaniacs, hashtag Animanicast poll. 17% said, clap on, clap off, show's over. Tied for second was rinse, lather, repeat, and plumeel, which both received 19%. But in the lead it was goodbye, nurse, which received 45% of the vote. So there you have it. That's the winner. Not much more to say about that. Now back to the studio with a new Twitter poll for this week.
That's our results. Looks like Goodbye Nurse won.
Wow.
So, Nathan, what was your favorite water tower ending?
I voted for Flameel.
Yes. Why do you like Flameel?
Just it reminds me of the director, Mr. Director. So,
and Kelly, what about you?
He stole mine, and for the same reason. Yeah, I like Flameel because almost any episode with the director is one of my all-time favorites. I can't think of an episode that he's in that I did not absolutely love.
And I gotta go. We got a triple agreement, guys.
Oh boy!
Flameel.
I thought we were gonna do it on the 3s too earlier.
And I would be giving Nathan a high five right now. Except I'm using my hand to pet my dog, who constantly keeps trying to jump up on the table.
I'll just clap.
Okay, yay! So that's a triple agreement right there for Flameel. That's just a great, quick, short. And just for the reasons you said, we all love Mr. Director. So today we have a new poll. And since it was a Slappy squirrel cartoon, we decided to go for the following question, which I'll let Nathan read. Nathan, what's the question?
Okay, so the question is, what is your favorite Slappy cartoon so far? Of course, there was Slappy Goes Walnuts. That was the first one. Then Bumby's Mom. There's Hooray for Slappy. That's the one where she gets an award. And Guardin the Garden, which I can't remember what that one was. But...
That was today's episode.
Oh, okay. Then that makes sense. All right. Okay. It was forgettable. Kelly, you're right.
So, Nathan, we mentioned at the beginning of the show that we have a contest going on for all these 5-star reviews that we get. Mm-hmm. And we got a new one.
Yeah, there's a new review here.
So what is our new review? This person's going to be entered in the contest. What did we got?
Okay, well, this is from DJ Gvr 2.0. Okay. I don't know. So this one says, for every Animaniac fan. All right. So if you ever enjoyed the Animaniacs, this show is for you. Joey, Nathan, and Kelly cover every episode of the classic animated series. Hello, nurse! Exclamation point.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like you, yeah. There we go.
Short and sweet and perfect. Thank you very much. DJ Kver 2.0.
KVER.
Well, fantastic. And to leave your own positive review and to get it in before the, I would say the next Tuesday or so of next. Yeah.
You got like 2 days.
You got 2 days. Get it in now. The time this episode goes live on Saturday.
Just pause the podcast right now.
Okay. Okay, you back?
You're back?
Okay. Great. Good review. Good job. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right over to our contact information. Nathan, where can people get in contact with you?
I'm on Twitter, Django FT. That's me. That's the rhyme you can think of. Django FT. That's me. Okay. Unfortunately, it's going to be me, not you. Oh, because if you say the rhyme, it might get kind of confusing, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, yeah, so you can go there. I have like 17 followers at least.
Whoa.
If you want, you can give me suggestions for a catchphrase at the beginning.
That's true.
Today's catchphrase was from Jordan Asks WNWY. All right.
Hey, I like that. That's a great podcast right there.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. It's a great podcast. You should know that because why? Because that's Nathan's wife does that.
Oh, I thought that Twitter looked familiar.
Yeah,
okay.
That's your wife who does
that. So yeah,
that.
if you want to send me a suggestion, you can do that. So.
Oh boy. And Kelly, what about you?
I can be reached at Kelly, Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com or Yoda Princess on Twitter.
Okay, and to get in contact with us at the Animaniacast, you can go on Twitter, which is at Animaniacast. You can find us on Facebook as well, and you can email us, which is animaniacast@retrozap.com. And speaking of retrozap.com, you can head on over to RetroZap to see a full listing of all of our previous episodes. Plus, you can see some awesome articles, especially if you happen to be a Star Wars fan. There's a ton of awesome ones up there. One that just came out about the balance, kind of like being in the middle of the Bendu and all that kind of stuff right there, which is a cool article if you're into kind of like the balance of the Force and stuff like that. I know it's a cool article. You should check that out. And there's also lots of cool podcasts on there, such as Skywalking Through Neverland, Techno Retro Dads, Brews and Blasters. The list goes on and on and on. There's so many of them, and I just can't think of all of them off the top of my head. But check them out. They're great. And with that, I think we're ready to wrap things up. Did we get everything we needed to?
I think so.
I think that. So with that...
We can say what the next week's episode is.
Oh, that's right. Well, we'll see you next week for episode 23, where we will all be careful what we eat. Then we'll go up the river to the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump. See how I blended all those together?
That was good. That's 3 different segments for you listeners.
Yeah. So anyway, with that, I'm Joey, and for Nathan and Kelly, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
That snake doesn't have a leg to stand on. Hey, it's a dawn of time. What do you expect? New jokes?